Well, hey garden friends, it's Destry. Welcome back to my Oregon yard. Today's video is a little bit different. I'm actually going to be taking you through 2 different weeks of cutting, harvesting, arranging, and selling flowers on my cut flower stand. So you will see 2 different weeks here in May where I am putting together my cut flowers to sell. So the first part of the video is week 1 of doing this, and then the second part is week 2. Now I have been putting out cut flowers to sell now since March of this year, and if you have more interest in growing cut flowers, I would encourage you to check out the playlist on cut flowers and see more videos there. Getting some blooms on my stalk, so I'm really excited about that, and these I will be using in my cut flower arrangements. I also think it's interesting, they almost look yellow when they're budded up, and then they're turning that pink. But this variety was the first variety that I put in these garden beds really early in the season, even before my last frost date, or my last frost date. I had these covered with some little greenhouses, and here I am in mid May, and they are blooming, so that's really exciting. My ranunculus are also starting to bloom, so again I'll be cutting these for the flower stand for tomorrow morning. And aren't they just beautiful? Now these ones I just got on Amazon, and I don't think they were the highest quality of bulb. I think maybe next year I might invest in maybe a little bit higher quality, but you can see I've got a lot of buds here, and they are gonna bloom, and they're doing well. So I think even by next weekend I'll even have even more of these to harvest and put on the flower stand. I've also been using this shrub for the flower stand as filler and foliage. You can see it's got this really pretty pink color to it with the new growth here. Unfortunately, I have noticed some of it, browning a little bit, like this one here. So I have to kind of be a little bit picky, but I have been able to find branches, and I've been using it as kind of just filler and accent on in my cut flower arrangements. So that's been a really nice one to have. Another one I use as filler is the Dusty Miller, which you can see will bloom yellow, and I don't really love the blooms. So what I've been doing is taking these. So any of these tall ones that I see here, I've been sort of clipping these and using it as filler on the flower stand because I don't really care if it blooms. I'm also going to be cutting these peonies for the flower stand tomorrow, but I had to do a quick video here just to show you the different varieties. Look at this beautiful salmon colored one. Isn't it just stunning? And then this white, just ruffly, beautiful one here. So I will be cutting off both of those bushes, pretty much all of the blooms, for the flower stand tomorrow and selling these. If you caught my video where I worked here in the shade garden, you might have seen me plant this rue up. But look at the flowers, they've opened up, and aren't they just so cool and interesting? So I'm going to go ahead and harvest these tonight with the hopes that this plant will push out more blooms. But I could not be happier with this plant. I really hope it does well in this area. Isn't it stunning? So unique and interesting. I'm also going to be cutting these. Now these are a white allium, and I wish I could remember where I got the bulbs from, but aren't they interesting? So most alliums are, purple, and I cut some of those tonight too. But look at these white ones. Looks like there's a pollinator on this one right now. If I can get my camera to focus. He is into that allium. The honeybees are liking those. Another one I'm definitely going to cut on tonight is this gorgeous rose. You guys, look at my rose. It is looking so beautiful. It has put on so much size, and I am definitely going to be cutting on this tonight for arrangements. Now this one's going to be a little harder because the stem length is only like tiny. So if I take it, I'm going to have to take a larger stem. So I'm going to have to kind of look at this here again. If I take that whole bunch there, then but this rose will just keep on producing all summer, so I'm not that worried about it. Definitely been harvesting a lot of this over here, the goat's beard, It's a great cut flower and it just blooms its head off. It just keeps coming back and back and back. So I've got more blooms on that to harvest, even though I harvested this just last week. In fact, if you look over here, here's one I probably missed out on last week. So I'll definitely harvest on these again. And this area is looking so good, you guys. Now this is one I'm gonna skip harvesting, and I'm gonna tell you why. These flowers smell like cat pee. They do not smell good. So I made that mistake last year. I'm like, ooh, these are so pretty. I'm gonna use them in my arrangements. But then I put them in the house and I was like, oh, these are, something smells like cat pee. What smells like cat pee? And then I realized it was these. So word to the wise, maybe don't use these, but look how stunning they are in the landscape. They're so, so, so pretty. Now I will be cutting on this rose as well. This one is a lavender rose. So again, if I take that one, I'm gonna have to probably take that whole stem. So I've gotta, I don't know, I've gotta make some decisions. Now that one smells really good. I can actually smell it from here. It smells great. And then look at this rose coming back. That one is stunning. Look how pretty. So I'm really glad that the roses have done okay in this area and everything else is just looking really, really good. So back to these white alliums. Now I did use the irises in some cut flower arrangements last week. And again, I've just got more that have opened up. Again, I don't love the smell of them though. So I might choose something else this week. I did cut a little bit on this, I think this is a cat's pajamas nepeta, I'm pretty sure. And it looks nice as, you know, they're kind of shorter stems, but you can use them as little accents and the purple is really pretty. So I might use some of those. Here is a little perennial and I can't remember the name of it, you guys, but it is also coming back for me. It has some nice stems. Now I am noticing some of the little like spit bug or whatever this is, but you just rinse it off, you know, dunk it in the bucket of water and it comes right off. So I might harvest some of these tonight, although it looks like they're not totally open yet. So I might wait another week on those, but they're so pretty. All right, well, I had to fight the pollinators for it, but I did clip some lavender here. And just to show you what it looks like, isn't it beautiful and stunning? So when I'm clipping off this plant, what I'm trying to do is kind of get these bottom branches that are sort of touching the ground anyway. So I kind of look, you know, towards the bottom and clip from there. In fact, I clipped a big piece here because it's already, you know, it's intruding on this plant anyway. But these can look really fun in the mason jars. And of course they smell amazing and people recognize it right away. They're like, oh, lavender, I love lavender. People love lavender. So if you put a couple sprigs of that in there, it just makes the arrangement smell so good. But this bush is absolutely covered with honeybees. I don't know if you can see them here, but it's just, they're just so happy. So I had to kind of be a little careful and not get in their way too badly. Another sort of non-traditional thing I'm going to use here for these cut flower arrangements is this gorgeous fern. Now these just unfurled. They're super bright green. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of these in my arrangements this week. Every weekend I like to change it up and use some different foliage, and I've been using the same things now for a couple times because, you know, that's all I've had. But now that I've got this fern out, these are going to look stunning in these arrangements. I think tonight, you guys, I'm finally going to harvest some of my cosmos. Look at these. Aren't these so cute? Now I know they're just going to continue to bloom and go crazy. Now right now, you know, the stem length isn't going to be very long, so I've kind of been waiting, but I've got to tuck a few of these in there. I think they're just so, they're so cute. They're so cute. And look, some of them are already getting done. So I'm going to clip a few of these tonight because I know they're just going to keep growing. They're definitely like a cut and come again flower. That's sort of non-traditional that I've been using in my arrangements is just geraniums. I have a lot of geraniums that are really beautiful. Now this one's a little too short. I already kind of checked it out, but as long as they have a long stem, they actually have a great vase life. I tried it out first and they were like, it was like a week in a vase and they did really, really well. So I have been using some geraniums in my arrangements as well, which is kind of, I don't know, maybe not, you know, traditionally a cut flower, but hey, they last a long time in a vase, so I'm ready to give it a try. All right, guys, well, here is what I was able to harvest tonight. And just to kind of pan through slowly and kind of show you what I have going on here. I've got those white alliums and the roses. I've got some of the Dusty Miller, the ranunculus, and the stock. You guys, these arrangements are gonna smell really, really good. The stalk smells so good. The lavender, the peonies smell amazing. Look at these peonies. Oh my gosh. Now, I've been selling my bouquets for $10, and I'm realizing that, you know, $10 is not a lot for all of this, you know, kind of homegrown cut flowers, all my seeds, all to cover all the costs of everything, plus all the mason jars and the ribbon and everything. So I might be upping my prices this summer. I think I'm going to try for 15, and just see how it goes. But I don't know. I think I'll just go ahead and keep with the $10 tomorrow, because that's what people are used to. But I might put a little sign out on the flower stand. I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. Should I say something about like maybe upping the prices, or should I just leave them at $10? Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. I'm super excited to start arranging with these. So how many vases do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I start off wrapping all my vases in a really pretty ribbon. This helps with a couple things. It basically helps that sticky stuff that I just can't get off from like different jelly jars or spaghetti jars. It just helps cover that up, and I think it also dresses up the vases. The other thing I do is put a little bit of this Floral Life preservative in each one of my containers before I start arranging. So when I start arranging, I will put in all my foliage first. So all of my filler, all of my sort of greenery or things that are going to be used as filler in the jars first. So for this week, I used Fern and Dusty Miller mainly, and then I started going in with some of my larger flowers. And then I just sort of work assembly lines. So each jar gets one style of each flower, and then if I have more of that particular style flower, I will pop 2 in there and just start building my bouquets that way. This week I had some beautiful stalk that was ready to harvest, and it smelled so good. So I definitely made sure to include at least 1 stalk in each bouquet. Another thing I do to prep my counter surface is to put down this little, what I call the messy mat. It's kind of a little potting mat. I think I just got it on Amazon, but it does help clean up be a lot easier, because as you can see, I'm stripping the bottom of some of these flowers, getting rid of those bottom leaves so that they don't sit in the water jars. So I feel like every week as I'm building these bouquets, I'm getting a little bit faster at it, but I have to say in the beginning, it did take a long time to get sort of the rhythm of this. I feel like I'm getting a little faster every week, so I definitely am getting more comfortable with how to put these together and what looks good, and so it's been a lot of fun. So now I'm starting to go in with the alliums and the peonies. The peonies are really the star of the show this week, so I really want those to be kind of front and center. And I do sort of build my bouquets faced, meaning they sort of have a front and a back to them. That just seems to be what works for me. I've tried to do some wrapped bouquets or hand-tied bouquets, and I just don't think I'm quite that proficient yet, but I'm definitely getting better. So maybe I'll be trying that again in the future. And then I just like to finish up with some smaller flowers right in the front. So things that are delicate or small, I'll sort of tuck those in at the very end. So here are some images from the flower stand for this week that I arranged. Give you an idea of how I put these together and what the end result was and what the flower stand looks like. I was able to sell out this day. I sold all the bouquets in one afternoon, so it was pretty awesome. So here I'm harvesting some candy tuft and some dianthus. Now, even if these blooms have a smaller or shorter stem, they can still work really well for the mason jar bouquets. So even from this very small patch, I was able to harvest quite a bit that I can use in bouquets this week. All right, well, here are my peonies fully in bloom, and I thought I would document this since I am going to be cutting these for the cut flower stand. Aren't they stunning? They're so pretty. They smell so good, and they'll continue to open up. In fact, you could harvest them way sooner than this. But this is actually a perfect one right here. See that? That's that marshmallow. You could even go a little bit before that. But I definitely need to harvest these tonight. Now as you can see, they're flopping over. And these are, this bush I've had for several years now, and it's my main producer. So this weekend will be kind of a main like peonies focal flower. And so, God, I gotta get myself back out of there. Anyway, but I just wanted to share this bush with you. It's so pretty before I get in there and harvest them, but they're gonna look stunning in the bouquets I'm gonna put together. Now for this week's bouquets, this lupin is not quite ready, but the following week I was able to harvest all of these, and they were beautiful in bouquets and sold out right away. This isn't even all of them. There's still more. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, when they're more opened up, they release the scent. That one's especially good. Pretty. Those are beautiful. Can you imagine if you had like a spring wedding? How beautiful would those be? Love that plant. Peonies, highly recommend. Now, it wouldn't hurt to let these peonies drink overnight. In fact, that's kind of what I do. I mean, I arrange them in vases because that's when I have time. But you could just leave them in a bucket like this and, you know, cut them in the evening, arrange for the next morning, or you could, you know, vice versa. You could cut in the morning for like an evening event, but you definitely want to, you know, try to cut them as fresh as you can. Now I'm doing Friday, Saturday this weekend of the flower stand instead of Saturday, Sunday, which is what I did last weekend, just to kind of see. I like to switch it up a little bit, and I find that Fridays are a good day. And so tomorrow I might advertise a little bit about like teacher appreciation. It's kind of graduation's coming around, end of the school year stuff. Elementary school teachers deserve a little something, right? And so do all teachers. But anyway, so yeah, so I might include something like that. But this is my, I think, I was looking at my list, it's my 6th or 7th weekend in a row, maybe more, I'm gonna look, where I've been selling on the flower stand. So it's been really good. It definitely takes some work, and it takes some time, dedication, and like it takes doing it. But the thing is, I do enjoy doing it. I enjoy the gardening part, the planting part. I enjoy the cutting part, you know, so, and I do enjoy sharing them. So prepping all the jars and like doing the whole thing is kind of like, it's fun, but it's like a little bit more stressful. Like I just want to get it done. But it's been really like a cool thing and a neat thing for the neighborhood. And, you know, kind of old friends have gotten a hold of me. There's an ant on here, you know, that I haven't seen in a while, and they've come by the flower stand, like old friends or, you know, family or just new friends, which is kind of fun too. Next, I got over here to my columbine and harvested some of that. Now I want to be sure to leave some as well because I want it to self-seed and spread next year. Then I started collecting from this bush. Now I like to use this as foliage. That was a little wild. Okay. I was trying to get the ones at the bottom to try to do some pruning while I'm gathering, you know. So I've been using this one for greenery, and it's great for greenery. Look how pretty. The backs of the leaves are a little silver, and so it doesn't matter if it gets turned around, but it's a good one. So, and they stay pretty well in a vase. So I'm gonna grab, sometimes I grab a little bit more greenery from this area. So even if I just put one of these in each vase, it's just like a different type of foliage. All right, guys, well, here's a quick update on the ranunculus. I wanted to show you how they're doing here in the Pacific Northwest. They are definitely blooming and they look great. Look at this pretty one. They are all different colors, so it's interesting to see what's what. You can see I've got more buds here and here. So definitely having success growing them small. Now this is also something, this is a different plant I grew for some filler and foliage, and you can see it is starting to bloom white. So I've never grown it before, so I was like, should I wait a little longer? Should I harvest some of this tonight? So I think I might go ahead and harvest a little bit. I noticed this one, I tried to stake it up. In fact, let me see if I can kind of fix it while I'm out here, just to give the ranunculus some more light because it's a bit of a bully. And then my snapdragons aren't quite there yet, but you can see the first flush of blooms is gonna be stunning. See if I can find a few more here for you. Right there. They're just giant heads. Oh, there's one that's starting to open. See that? So this first bloom of these are snapdragons. Sorry, my dogs are playing and the neighbor dog's barking and blah, blah, blah. And then this is the blue Purim. And you can see some of it's doing really well. That plant is gorgeous. This one is taking off and wants to climb, apparently. Not all of it did that great. Some of it you can see, I don't quite know what happened to this dude. He's a little misshapen. Same with this one. So this one kind of has a stalk, but I don't know. I think I just need to get in here and maybe trim some of these. Like this one seems like it's gonna do good. And maybe prop them up a little bit, but they're, I don't know, I think they're gonna be good in the long run. So yeah, the flower garden, this flower bed is just like doing so well. It's just booming. And then I do have some shelling peas that I'm growing up my trellises. Sorry, I don't want this to turn into a total garden tour, but anyway, here's some more things blooming. So I've got some stalk that's getting ready to bloom. Now I wouldn't harvest it here. I don't even think I'd harvest it right there, but this one back there is ready. So let me go around to the other side and I'll show you that one more closely. And you can see back here I have more snapdragons in this area. And then I have the white Orlea, which also I think is getting ready to bloom. But here's some of the stalk. You can see sometimes they're a single bloom and sometimes they're like a double bloom. So like this one to me is really, really beautiful. That one's ready to harvest. This one, it depends. I might harvest that one, but this one back here is like fully open, so you can kind of see it more, and that's a double bloom. So the double bloom just looks more like ruffly kind of, and then the single bloom is a little bit more basic, but it's still really pretty. So I'm gonna harvest this one tonight too. And then this is more stalk that's not quite there. I've got one here that's kind of flopped over that's ready. It's a pink one. You can see, poor thing, it's like all flopped over. So I'm gonna grab that one. This one, I think I'll wait on that one. It's not quite ready. And then I've got the yellow drumstick flower here. That's a stalk, and that's a stalk, but it's hanging out under here. You can see that kind of firework foliage there. The peas are starting to grow up. And then I've got a few more stalk here, and then these are straw flower. And some of these are getting really, really big. So you can see they're definitely, they take some room, which I didn't realize. So I have an empty spot here so I can kind of step into the bed. But once all this stalk blooms, I'm going to be switching this whole bed and most of these beds to like zinnias, more celosia and things for summer blooms. But right now it's looking great, and I'm excited about all this stalk that I'm going to be harvesting for several more weeks now. And then over here I have been harvesting a few of the cosmos, at least trying to keep them deadheaded. I would like them to be a little taller, but we haven't really had like a warm spell yet. It has been like kind of chilly and kind of overcast for a few days now. But I know once we have a warm day that they will get bigger. Those are more straw flower. These guys in the front are starting to get a few buds. My sweet peas are going crazy. I have those in several places. But these ones I'm actually really excited about. These are the asters that are in front here. And then finally taking off are the bells of Ireland, which I'm excited to have those. This is one, this is one. And then we have more of the asters. And then in the middle, we have some status. So that is exciting to see those doing their thing. I feel like I see some growth here of budding up. They'll bud up from the center here. They remind me like a little cabbage or something. But anyway, and then this is purple basil in the back here. So that'll be nice to have. So I'm going to get out here and harvest some of the stalk next, and then probably run to the front yard. I've got some roses ready out there. And so I'll try to capture a little bit of that for you, but I don't like to I don't know, it's kind of weird to set up my camera in the front yard sometimes. So especially when there's a lot of people walking by. So I might just go out there real quick, harvest, the roses and all that, and then harvest the rest of these ranunculus too. So I have some harvesting to do in this bed, and then I might run out front and get this all together. Now, if you've never grown stalk before, it's very easy to grow from seed. The only thing that's tricky about it is that it's a one and done. So you get one flower stalk from one plant. So you kind of have to plant a lot of it in order to have any impact. The other thing I love about stalk, you guys, is that it smells so good. It's kind of a sweet and spicy fragrance, kind of like a clove. It's really amazing flower. This one should have been staked, but look at it, it's kind of funky. It's definitely got a focal point to it. It's a statement piece. All right, then it was time to get busy arranging. I went ahead and started by filling all my jars with a little bit of Floral Life and then nice, cool, fresh, clean water. I find doing this in my kitchen is a little bit easier, and usually I have most of my flower buckets on the floor, and I just move them up one at a time as I'm ready to start arranging with them. So once again, I'm going to start with my filler florals, my foliage, I should say. All the things that are going to, make the jar look that much nicer and fill up the space. So I'm going to start with this greenery. So then it's just a matter of, making my recipes, making sure that every jar has very similar items, similar shapes and colors, so that they all look very uniform. The principles of design come into play here. You want your bouquets to have unity so that they look beautiful on the stand, but you also want them to have some variety. You want things to have balance and be proportionate in the jar. You want the bigger flowers to balance out maybe a smaller grouping of smaller flowers. So all of the design principles that I've learned being an artist also come into play here as I'm arranging my floral jars. Right, guys, well, here they are. They are all ready for the flower stand tomorrow. And all in all, I think that took me, oh gosh, I don't know. It took some time, but aren't they just beautiful and stunning? I love the roses. I was able to grab some roses from the front yard. The stalk smells really good. It makes them smell good. And so does the peonies, obviously. And then each one's just a little different. Some have a few alliums. Some of the flowers are more bloomed out than others. And of course, all of the vases are unique as well. So that just kind of adds to the interest. Some of them have some of the ranunculus. I've got that lavender rose there. So it's kind of fun that they're all slightly different. And I think that's what makes it fun for people that come by the flower stand. You can see this little pop of red there. This one actually has 2 peonies in it. So that one's kind of a good deal. It just depends on what you want. You want instant impact, and you can see the vases are all wrapped and looking so pretty. And there's some really unique vases like the square one here. So yeah, and then the columbine adds a little bit to that. And again, just everyone is just really unique. It's fun to use the dianthus as the cut flower too. That's been kind of neat. And then that, where is it? That candy tuft really adds a little punch of color as well. So anyway, I'm excited to get these on the flower stand on a Friday morning. I think Fridays are a good day. People are still doing things. They're out and about. They're driving to work, and they're going to spot these hopefully and see my post about it and come by and snag them because they're so pretty and they smell so amazing, and I really love the way they turned out. I hope you guys liked watching this video about how I select and arrange jars for my flower stand. I'm having so much fun arranging these and selling them every week, and it's been a really fun and profitable experience. I hope you like and subscribe, and if you need me, I'll be doing some gardening. See you guys next time. Bye.